Welcome to the Deep Dive. I'm Christine from Kairos R&D Solutions Private Limited.
And I'm Mac, also from Kairos R&D Solutions.
Today we're tackling something pretty significant in the clinical trial world.
We're diving into the updated ICH E6 guideline for good clinical practice.
That's right, specifically the R3 version, which was finalized just this January 2025.
And anyone in research knows ICH E6. It's, the bedrock, the international standard for ethical scientific trials, protects participants, ensures the data is solid.
Absolutely. And this R3 update, it's a big step, building on what came before, especially that R2 addendum from 2016. So our mission today is really to unpack R3. We want to pull out the key changes, understand the why behind them.
And what it all means practically, how trials are actually run day to day.
Exactly. Consider this your guide to the big shifts in GCP.
Okay, so diving in. What really hits you first with R3, I think, is the huge emphasis on a risk-based approach.
Right. It wasn't like absent in R2, but R3. It feels foundational now.
It really is. It's woven through almost every section. The idea is to be smarter, more proportionate.
So not a one-size-fits-all checklist anymore.
Not at all. It's about focusing your effort, your resources, where the risks actually are for that specific trial.
Which makes sense. And it's adaptable too, right, for different kinds of trials, big or small.
Yeah, and crucially, for new technologies, think digital health tech, all the stuff coming online, R3 is designed to cope with that innovation.
Okay, and linked to that is this term quality by design. That seems more prominent now.
Definitely. It's about proactively building quality into the trial right from the protocol stage.
So less about checking for errors at the end.
And more about preventing them. Identifying factors critical to quality, assessing the risks around them, and building in controls.
Like planning the foundations before you build the house?
Exactly that analogy. Plan for quality, don't just inspect for it later.
Oh.
Annex 1 gives some guidance, and they're leaving room for future annexes too for emerging stuff.
Good point. And just to be clear on scope, this R3 guideline is primarily aimed at interventional trials, the ones intended for regulatory submission.
That's its main focus, yes. Investigational products heading for approval. But the principles? They're relevant for other interventional trials too. You can definitely apply the thinking more broadly.
Okay, good clarification. Let's zoom in then. Investigator responsibilities, what's changing there, or maybe what's getting more emphasis in R3?
Well, the core duties are still there, obviously. But R3 adds nuance, especially around how things are done. Delegation is a good example.
Ah, yes. Investigators delegating tasks. Always happens.
Right, but R3 is clearer. You can delegate, fine, but the investigator, you still hold ultimate responsibility. Oversight is crucial.
And the documentation for that delegation.
Needs to be proportionate. Documenting handing off a major safety critical task needs more rigor than, say, some minor admin duty. It's about sensible, traceable delegation.
Makes sense. What about communication with the ethics committees, the IRB-IEC?
R3 reinforces that it needs to be ongoing. Not just initial approval, but keeping them updated. Changes to participant info, trial status summaries. It's about continuous dialogue, transparency.
And participant care and safety reporting still absolutely central.
Oh, absolutely non-negotiable. Qualified healthcare pros responsible for trial-related medical care and rigorous reporting of adverse events as per the protocol, that's fundamental GCP.
And informed consent, still the same core principles.
Pretty much. Making sure participants truly understand, agree voluntarily. R3 still details the key elements, the need for clear language and procedures for those who can't read, like using an impartial witness. The foundations haven't shifted there.
Okay. What happens when someone finishes the trial or decides to withdraw?
R3 outlines those procedures. The key is collecting the data you already have, ethically and scientifically, of course, and importantly, sharing the trial results back with participants when they're ready. Closing that loop.
Right. Now, the investigational product itself, the drug or device being tested, investigators' role.
Big responsibility there. Accountability is key. Proper storage, handling, dispensing strictly according to the protocol, and tracking everything what's used, what's returned. That chain of custody has to be watertight.
Got it. And then records, the data. Always critical.
Always. R3 keeps the focus on accurate, legible, contemporaneous recording, ALCOA essentially, plus strong emphasis on protecting participant privacy and data confidentiality.
And it points to Appendix C for specifics.
Yes, Appendix C is really beefed up in R3. It details which records are essential and the required retention periods. Much clearer guidance than before.
Okay. And finally, for investigators, reports.
Yeah, keeping their institution in the loop, and providing summaries of the trial outcome to the IRB, IEC, and regulators. Standard stuff, but clearly laid out.
All right, let's switch gears to the sponsors. Again, building on R2, but where are the notable changes or shifts in emphasis in R3?
Trial design is a big one. R3 really puts the onus on the sponsor to ensure the design is supported by solid preclinical and clinical data.
Okay, so justifying the design.
Exactly. But also, that quality by design principle we mentioned, it's huge for sponsors now. Proactively building quality in, managing critical risks right from the design stage. It's a much more forward-looking responsibility.
So less reactive, more proactive design. What about sponsor oversight during the trial?
Major focus. R3 is explicit. Sponsors oversee the entire trial conduct. QA, QC, selecting and overseeing investigators, any vendors or CROs.
And presumably that oversight is risk-based too.
You guessed it. Risk-based all the way. Focus the oversight where it matters most for safety and data integrity.
Okay, which leads nicely into quality management systems. R2 had it, but R3 expands on it.
Oh yeah, significantly. R3 goes into detail about the sponsor's QM system. It's not just have procedures, it's implement robust risk management, identify, assess, control risks, and crucially, establish quality tolerance limits.
Quality tolerance limits. Explain those a bit.
They're like pre-agreed boundaries for key quality metrics. If you start drifting outside those limits, it triggers action. It's a way to proactively monitor and manage deviations before they become big problems.
Interesting. So part of that quality system is QA and QC. How does R3 frame those?
Well, QA is about audits, checking compliance. QC is the ongoing monitoring. R3 highlights that monitoring, whether it's people on-site or centralized remote monitoring, should both be risk-based.
And centralized monitoring gets a bit more emphasis.
It does. It's clearly presented as a valuable complement, sometimes even a primary method depending on the risk assessment, alongside or sometimes reducing the need for traditional site visits. More flexibility, driven by risk.
Okay. What if things go wrong? Non-compliance.
Sponsor's job to manage it. Have systems to detect non-compliance with the protocol or GCP, investigate it, implement corrective actions for the immediate fix.
And preventative actions, key PA to stop it happening again.
Exactly. Standard TPA process, but clearly a sponsor responsibility.
And safety assessment, reporting adverse events.
Still paramount. Sponsors need to continuously review safety data coming in and report serious unexpected events promptly to regulators and everyone else who needs to know.
Right. And the investigational product, again, but from the sponsor side.
Big list of responsibilities here.
Yep.
Providing the investigator's brochure with all the info, overseeing manufacturing to GMP standards, proper packaging, labeling, coding to maintain the blind,
Making sure it gets to the sites reliably.
and managing handling throughout.
Yep.
It's end-to-end responsibility for the product itself.
Okay. Now, data and records. This feels like a really hot topic, especially with R3.
It absolutely is. R3 really emphasizes the sponsor's role in ensuring data integrity, confidentiality, and overall quality. That means robust QC across the entire data lifecycle.
From capture to analysis.
Capture, processing, analysis, reporting, everything. Plus record keeping, retention policies, access controls. And building on R2's addendum, there's a huge focus on computerized systems.
Ah, yes. Validation audit trails.
All of that. Sponsors need validated systems. Clear audit trails showing who did what when, secure data handling. It's critical infrastructure for modern trials.
And like investigators, sponsors have final reporting duties too.
Yep. Reporting any premature trial terminations and, of course, preparing the final clinical trial report for regulators.
Now, you mentioned the increased focus on data. R3 actually has a whole new section on data governance, right? That feels significant.
It's hugely significant. Giving data governance its own standalone section really elevates its importance. It signals that managing data well isn't just an IT issue, it's fundamental to GCP.
And what does that section cover? What are the key elements of data governance in R3?
Well, one specific thing it calls out is safeguarding the blind. How your systems, your user access controls, your procedures all work together to protect the blinding, including control processes for unblinding when necessary.
So maintaining the integrity of the trial results.
Precisely. But it goes much wider. It talks about the entire data life cycle.
The whole journey of the data.
Yeah. From initial data capture, making sure you get the relevant metadata, and it specifically calls out audit trails as crucial metadata.
Okay.
Then processes for data review, how you handle corrections properly, how data is transferred or migrated between systems safely.
Wow, it sounds very comprehensive.
It is. It covers finalizing the data sets for analysis, retention, and access rules, and even secure data destruction at the end. It's really about proper stewardship of the data, from cradle to grave.
And given how much we rely on tech, the part about computerized systems must be critical.
Absolutely critical. R3 laid out detailed requirements for these systems. You need clear procedures for using them, proper training for everyone,
Security measures.
robust security, yes, and system validation is non-negotiable, proving the system works as intended for its purpose in the trial.
What else?
Things like managing system releases and updates, having backup and recovery plans for failures, technical support, and rigorous user management controlling who can access what.
And again, I'm guessing this needs to be proportionate.
Exactly. The level of rigor, validation, documentation would all be proportionate to the risk associated with that system and the data it handles.
Okay, that makes sense. Finally, let's touch on Appendix C essential records. How does R3 change things there?
Appendix C itself isn't new, but R3 clarifies and expands on it. It lists the documents needed to really evaluate how the trial was conducted and if the data is reliable.
So the crucial paperwork.
Essentially, yes. R3 emphasizes managing these records properly, making sure they're identifiable, you have version control so you know what's current.
And knowing who's responsible, especially if tasks are delegated.
Right. Clear arrangements for managing essential records even when activities are outsourced or delegated.
And does R3 give clearer criteria for what makes a record essential?
It does. The focus is this record necessary to confirm GCP compliance and the reliability of the results? If yes, it's likely essential.
And the list itself, is it just longer?
It's more comprehensive and better structured, I'd say. The table in R3 categorizes documents, things like the investigator's brochure, protocol, approvals, qualifications, monitoring reports, data management plans, product records. It gives a clearer picture compared to R2 of the full documentation package needed.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, it feels like ICH E6 R3 is really pushing towards smarter, more adaptable trials.
Definitely. The big takeaways are that pervasive risk-based approach, quality being designed in, not just inspected.
And this massive elevation of data governance and managing computerized systems properly.
Absolutely. It's about making trials potentially more efficient, yes, but doing it strategically, focusing efforts intelligently, while upholding participant safety and data integrity.
It seems the goal is finding that balance, streamlining where possible, but maintaining rigorous standards where it counts most.
That's a perfect summary. Evolving GCP for modern research realities.
So for you listening, the real question is, how does this shift towards risk-based thinking and robust data governance impact your work? What changes might you need to make in how you design, run, or oversee clinical trials?
It's worth thinking of. This deep dive gave you the highlights, the key shifts from R2 to R3. But definitely go and read the full ICH E6 R3 guideline. Get into the details for your specific role.
Great advice. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the new era of good clinical practice. We hope it's been insightful.